Hey, good evening from remote location on this Memorial Day weekend. It's Andy from Two Legs. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. Those of you that watch our show must say he's not in his regular setup. I'm not. I'm on vacation and just hanging out and wanted to go live and just see what's what. See if Tom joins me, if he's around, or if anybody else is around that can join me. But I hope you're all enjoying, and we give thanks to all who gave their lives, servicemen and women, for this country. So, very appropriate that I do this outside with the flag right there. So, thank you, veterans, and everybody who has served us in this great country. Oh, there's the MVP. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Laura. Hello, Jack. Good evening. Good evening. What's cooking out there? We did have another little bit of a one-hand clapping drop. Yes, I am a little chilly, folks. Believe it or not, it was hot today, but it's cold now. There was another little video teaser drop for one-hand clapping today on Paul's social media, and we heard for the first time a little bit of a snippet of him playing "The Long and Winding Road" from one-hand clapping, which will be no doubt one of the standout tracks to go to for that collection, because it was the first time he played that stuff that we know of. And it sounds good. It sounds good. Oh, I think I know who that is. Eileen C. Hello, Tony Mac. So that dropped today on Paul's socials as well. And we're going to be a little bit off with our two legs rotation this week. Normally, recently, since February, we have been dropping our shows Saturday nights at 7:00, which would be right now. But we're not doing that this week because of our next scheduled guest, which we're recording tomorrow, which would be Mr. Luca Perazzi, the long-awaited interview with him. So we're going to post our show this week. Probably, I'm hoping to do it Sunday night. It might have to wait till Monday. I don't know. I have to wait and see how the connection goes with the recording with Luca, because as you know, Luca is in Italy. But it's been fine with him recently, but I'm going to try to have that thrown up, Sunday night. If not Sunday, sometime Monday for sure. That'll be up. So 248 will be a little bit different this week. There'll be a show, but it's not going to be its usual posted time as it usually is. Yeah, Dan, that's it, baby. One hand clapping, June 14th. Let's go. Gearing up. It's going to be a great release. We'll unbox it. We'll show it. We'll do the whole thing. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline these days. And Paul's marketing team does a great job of, as we get closer to the release date, of dropping more and dropping more and dropping more. And as of right now, we've got Junior's Farm, and last week they dropped High as a preview track to stream, and that sounds incredible too. The band is tight, and it's really kind of cool too, because it's really the first bona fide release outside of the couple of songs that he's on, Jeff Britton obviously being on Junior's Farm, and a couple of tracks on Venus and Mars. This is going to be like Jeff Britton's moment in the sun on a McCartney release, where it's just him as the drummer. And that's pretty historical too. Chris Hahn says, me too, I haven't bought anything McCartney since McCartney 3. Well, you're not like Tom and I then, or I guess. You didn't get the 7-inch singles box? Come on. Day trip, I played my Yellow Dog, that's a bootleg, one hand clapping last night, and forgot all about High being messed up in the fade in of Wildlife. And that's just a little snippet. Bingo. Yeah, so it's exciting. Another month, another nice long weekend here. I hope everybody's off and enjoying. I do know that there are people that work around the clock. So if you are working this Memorial Day weekend, I sympathize with you, but at some point I get you, hopefully you can enjoy. Jack, Paul McCartney, solo or with Wings, and why? Jack, how about everything? It doesn't matter. Solo, Wings, it doesn't matter for me. Any incarnation of Paul McCartney and what he does is fine by me. Hello. Good evening, Music Sound Gear. Thank you for popping in. Oh, Ellen Lanza. familiar face. Hello, dear. Of course, everything. That's what we do. That's what Tom and I do on this show. Everything. We don't, I mean, yeah, we have our favorites, but I mean, will I tell you that I like maybe the some of the experimental stuff more than the classical stuff? Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I can't pick solo or with wings and why. I can't do that. It's everything. It's everything from the Family Way to McCartney 3 and everything in between that. Daniel's going to go see the Love Show before it closes. Good on you, Daniel. Good on you for doing that. It closes in July, and that was an awesome show. Hope you enjoy it. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to one of our fans and friends of the show, Susan Gagney. She messaged us yesterday. See, this is the hardcore stuff that even people like, we don't see everything, but hardcore fans do. And Susan Gagney is one of them. Listen to this. Do I watch Rachel's Ghost at all? No, I don't. Susan says, okay, 10 years ago, Paul did a song for a video game called Destiny, which we all know is Hope for the Future, right? It came out in 2014. She said the game music came out digitally in an OST called Destiny Original Soundtrack. It was issued in 2018 in a limited edition vinyl box, The Music of Destiny Volume 1. Here's the key point. A year ago, the orchestrator for the last of the Destiny 2 sagas, The Final Shape, posted a picture of her sheet music for one of the tracks, unnamed, which included Paul as one of the composers. The Final Shape video game is coming out on June 4th and will have a digital soundtrack today. The soundtrack is listed as only part of the package one can pre-order, blah, blah, blah. But she did a little detective work, and Paul is listed on ASCAP, that's the music publishing company, as one of the composers on a new track, both published by MPL and Bungie, called After All This Time. So this is likely the Final Shape. This is likely the Final Shape track. So it looks like we have another new song that Paul is sneaking out there into the ether, called After All This Time, much like Hope for the Future. So that'll be interesting. So Susan Gagney, thank you for sharing that little tidbit and that that sleuthing and detective work you did. Hardcore fan. Thank you very much. Beatly Tone just did a good ranking of McCartney albums. Well, we did this too eons ago. My number one album is Red Rose Speedway. We ranked the albums and we ranked the songs. We did that live a few years ago. But I knew Tone was a fan of that album. Red Rose Speedway is mine. For sure. And I want to also give Kyle Hand another shout out. He came up with another good show idea. He always does. It is a nice surprise because I'm outside and I'm not in my usual surroundings. Hi, Tone. Rory was just giving you a shout out about the rankings you did. And I knew Venus and Mars was your number one because you've told us before. And I was just saying how we might do a show again with me and Tom and you discussing differencing between US and UK fandom. And I have to give thanks to Kyle Hand for that. He emailed us a few days ago talking about that. And I think that would be a nice topic because it's interesting to see how the fandom of McCartney in America and the UK, how that has gone on over the decades. And I think that would be a nice show to do. And Tone said he was game, and I'm sure Tom would be too. So I'm sure we'll do that at some point this summer as well. And again, thank you, Kyle, for that suggestion. He always does. What's with these questions? Taylor Swift or Beyonce, and why? I'm not a fan of either. Respect it. I respect them. I respect the phenomenon. I respect the music. If that's what you like, I'm not into it. I'm not into either. But I give all the respect to their fans and the people that enjoy that stuff and gravitate towards it. I think it's great. If that moves you and it's meaningful to you and you feel empowered by that music and you enjoy it, more power to you. It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. You know, I'd rather get a glass of red wine and listen to Procol Harum, or Yes, or Led Zeppelin, or The Who, or Paul McCartney. Yes. Always. as Nicholas Schaffner wrote in his great 1977 book, The Beatles Forever. Yeah. Beyonce, I mean, she's been around for quite a long time now. Or Genesis, or Harry Chapin, or ELO, or ELP, or the Moody Blues. These or Elton John. That's what I'm listening to. It's not enough time. There's not enough time in the day. Some of this music is 50 years old or more, and I'm still learning it. Or I'll put on Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin or the Four Seasons. There's never a dry spell with music. Johnny Rivers, of course, classic singer. Love Johnny Rivers. Laura, a bottle of red or a bottle of white, and why? Laura, it's a bottle of red. Come on. No brainer. Red. Never liked white. White's too sweet. I'm just not a fan of white. Red, primarily more during the wintertime, though. And always at an Italian restaurant. Yes, Johnny Rivers. Love Johnny Rivers. I can't say that I'm like a fan of his. I have his albums, but his hits are just great. Do I like country music? I like old classic country. Johnny Cash. Not a huge country fan, but I respect the Johnny Cash stuff. Ken Burns did a really great documentary a couple of years ago on the origins and roots of country music and how that influenced people like Bob Dylan, who, by the way, I knew I forgot to say that. Happy birthday to Bob Dylan today, who is 83. But yeah, Johnny Cash and all those early pioneers. I like that stuff. I do, especially Johnny Cash, because I love the connection between him and Bob Dylan. 83, Bob. Roll on, baby. Chin chin, baby. Chin chin. Chin chin. Oh boy. Zeppi Productions. My boy Sal, who is one of the best up and coming young filmmakers in New Jersey. Go check him out. Good dude right there. Thanks, Sal. The comments are going. I got to catch up here. Slow down. Is it still October over there? No. Last I checked, it was May 25th. But October will be here in a few months, Ollie. James, good question. I started watching it this morning. I'm about 30 minutes into it. It's about kind of what I thought it was. Our friend David Gargolino, the former co-host of Two Legs, he watched it, I think yesterday. He felt that it was a little too compressed, typical 90-minute documentary about only really 13 years in the Beatles. Listen to me, Freudian slip. The Beach Boys' career going up to 1977. So it's not as complete as one would think. I like what I see so far. There is a ton of, as you would assume, archival Brian Wilson interview footage. There's not too much of him talking that I've seen so far. He was on at the very beginning of it, but any snippets of dialogue or him talking is interviews from the last, all the other documentaries you've seen. Mike Love is contemporarily interviewed. So is Al Jardine and David Marks. And right now, I think I left off at I think basically Brian Wilson had stopped touring right around the time, again, 64, basically as the Beatles were coming around. So I'm going to maybe watch the rest of it tonight or certainly at some point this weekend. We'll see. I've heard mixed reviews about it, so we'll see. Favorite Beatle? That's a tough question. It's tough. I'm going to come back to that one. And a happy birthday to Paul Weller. Okay, Paul Weller. Most people know him in the UK as a member of the Jam, who is 66. And his new album came out yesterday with a cover designed by Peter Blake, who designed Sgt. Pepper's album cover. Wow. You thought it was a bit frugal and true kind. Yeah, that's what David Gargolino told me too. And it seems that way anyway. I mean, if you're going to end the Beach Boys, the Beach Boys continued well on into the 80s. They had a rebirth, obviously, with Kokomo, and that their song was in the movie Cocktail with Tom Cruise. It should be a little more comprehensive. I thought at the very least, and I know they haven't pumped out a ton of studio albums, in the Mike Love era, but I mean, they could have added, 20 minutes or another half hour to encompass the 80s, the 90s, and then I would have ended the documentary with the 50th anniversary tour in 2012. And then when they did the reunion album, that's why God Made the Radio, because that's the last thing that kind of anybody was really involved with. Brian's camp and Mike's camp getting together. I would have ended it with that, but they didn't even touch that. So, yeah, it probably would be a little bit disappointing for that. I agree, Ollie. And I'm very curious how the Smile era is covered in this documentary. Is it just kind of glossed over, or is there any meat sunk into it and dissected? Beatle Ed. good answer, Tone. Good answer. Well, it's almost 10 a.m. on the 26th in Oz. Well, good morning, Daniel. It's good. It's what is it? It's 7:45 in America, so it's about almost 1 a.m. for Tone. Hello, Scott O'Rourke. Excuse me, Chris. I think it'll be a new. Well, not counting one hand clapping, I think it'll be a new album release, which we said I think last week. I think it'll be a new album release towards the end of the year. Yeah, so I'll finish that. I get why they released it now, Memorial Day weekend, kick off the summer, the Beach Boys, things like that. I do like that David Marks was included, though, and I didn't realize how much he was in the band. He was in the band for the first 3 or 4 albums, and then he was gone. I only thought David Marks was there for like the first album, and then he left, and then Al Jardine came back. So, look at that, Fran Nichols, how you doing? Jack's got good questions here. Jack, why do you love the Beatles so much? When and why did you get into them? You got an hour? Why do I love the Beatles so much? Because my family introduced me to them. Simple, and they all love the music, and I took it to a little bit of another level. I'm sure they'll tell you. I was introduced to it by family, and it gives me a lot of joy, as it gives everybody else joy. That's why we listen to them. Kyle, you jumped on late. I addressed yes, I just talked about it 5 minutes ago. Scroll back. I did see it, and we talked about it here. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I said. You got an hour? Family. Yeah, family for sure. First generation fans, music, listening to it, connecting with the music, connecting with family. That's why I got into it. Ollie says I would prefer a spring summer release for a new McCartney album. We'll take it whenever we can get it, right? Flaming Pie Archive came out 4 years ago at the summertime. McCartney 3 then came out in December. I don't care when it is. I actually prefer fall releases for McCartney stuff, personally. Okay, well, this is a no-brainer. Now, the Stones just played in my backyard here last night, the night before. I didn't go. This is a no-brainer. Bob Dylan, hands down. I like the Stones casually. I like the Stones casually, but I over the last 5-6 years have become a devout Dylan fan, and I absorbed just about everything that I can. Still not done yet, but I'm getting there. Bob Dylan. I had no interest. They were playing at a big stadium here in New Jersey called MetLife Stadium, where, it's where I saw Macca in 2022. It's 60,000 people, and it's amateur night. Takes you an hour and a half to get in there. Takes you 3 hours to get out. The tickets would probably cost $500, and I'm not that big of a Stones fan to go. I'll YouTube it if I want to. I had no interest in going to see the Stones. None. I did not. If upon haven't subscribed to Two Legs, hit that subscribe button. They are so close to 2K, and they are offering the Mind Game Super Deluxe. No, we're not. Funny. You're funny, Tone. No, we're not. These comments are flying in. Hold on. Susan gave you a shout out 5 minutes ago. Good evening, dear. What Paul song do you think that is overlooked that everyone should hear? Off the top of my head, What Paul song do you think is overlooked that everyone should hear? So it's not a hit. Get on the Right Thing. I'll say Get on the Right Thing. James, I probably read and listen to watch Beatles podcasts more than I listen to the music. Yeah. No, amateur night. My friends and I call that amateur night when you go to those stadiums. Crowds, I'd rather go to a small, intimate theater these days. I can't deal with the crowds and the people and the Karens who never shut up. Watch a concert. Watch the concert. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop drinking. Watch. Fran. Ooh, that's a tough question. Split. That's a tie on that one. We did not address Tone's rankings yet. We will. Scott O'Rourke, I have not fully reviewed the Beach Boys doc because I haven't finished watching it yet. I only started it this morning. I'm going to do a proper review on my own channel with David Gargolino probably in another week or two. We'll see. House of Wax. There you go, Tone. The Pretty Little Head single version is a great. Yes, I would agree with that, Vinyl Guy. The extended cut, too. The extended cut single version is the best. It's way better than the album version. James, crowd etiquette has been appalling now for decades, especially in this country. I've seen concerts in England and in the UK. Audiences are much more behaved and know how to watch the show, applaud, be quiet, and then watch the rest of the concert. Here, it's a gong show, and it makes concert going to a venue like MetLife Stadium not enjoyable because people just never shut up. They never shut up. We have not tried to get an interview with May Pang. I'm sure we could. We could try that. Would love, yeah, that would be cool. Really, it's gotten worse in the UK. That's surprising, but it's been many years since I was there. But with the shows when I was there, the behavior was impeccable. I do have another channel. It's called Andy's Music Vault, The Other Leg. And I have about 25 or so videos on there. I'm not prolific. May? Well, we could talk to her about a Paul connection, but even though she was John's girlfriend, I wouldn't mind talking to May. Tony says it's the same here now. Everyone watches the phone shows through the 7-inch screen on their phone rather than the 50-foot screens at the side of the stage. Well, that's their smartphone technology for you. Have you done a total McCartney collection video? We have not. Good idea. Tony says that rank Choba, Run Devil Run, and Kisses as straight studio albums. I would agree with that. Like as part of the main canon. I agree with that. I know that there's covers in a lot of that stuff, but I would agree that they are considered canon. And I would agree with that. I love that story that Paul says about how when he does a show, when he does a Beatles song, there's a flash of white lights everywhere because everybody's got the freaking phones out, right? And then when he plays a new song, it's a black hole because nobody gives a crap about the new songs. I do, but nobody else does. I always enjoy that little anecdote he always shares. Nick Syrette. Hello, our friend. Nice to see you on here. Yeah. Yes, Susan. Somebody mentioned it before in the comments above. Let's see. James says at his last ELO gig in 2018, 2 guys were yakking through Strange Magic and I was close to violence. Like, why even go? Why even go? I just thought it was an American problem, but I guess it's still happening. It happens in the UK. That's a shame. People are just dumb. Can you put the thing away for 3 or 4 hours and survive? Bob Dylan got his concerts. You can't have your phone. You can't have your phone out at a Bob Dylan concert. You go to the concert. They give you this little pouch thing. Your phone goes in the pouch thing. They lock it. You can carry it, but you can't take it out. After the concert's over, you go to the thing. They unlock it. I think we need more of that. Good on you, Bob. Happy birthday again. Electric Arguments. Yes, I would. Yes, Electric Arguments, definitely. Even more than Chopa. is definitely a straight studio album for sure. Yes, Scott, I did. The day that it dropped, when the Uber box came out, I listened to it, and I must have listened to it 10 times. It's incredible. I love it. There's a few more that have dropped out now. I think One Day at a Time is out there now, and I think there's a version of You Are Here that's out there now. But the evolution for documentary version of Mind Games, I think, is fascinating. Do I prefer early or late 80s McCartney music? I would say early. I would prefer the early 80s. McCartney 2, Tug of War, Pipes of Peace, Broad Street. Although you can't miss, how do you, the decade is pretty much, he's got two of the best albums of his career in that decade, between Tug of War in 82 and Flowers in the Dirt in 89. So you can really say the decade is basically bookended by two masterpieces, because McCartney 2, as we know, was made in the summer of 79. It only came out in the spring of 80. So I kind of, in a way, I really think Tug of War is his first proper 80s album, and certainly post John's death as well. I love Pipes of Peace, Nick. Anybody that follows this show knows that. They know that. Yeah, exactly, Susan. It really should. I didn't care. Take my phone. And actually, I don't even think I brought it in. I left it in the car. Bruce, you make up a point that I brought up when we discussed this, when it leaked, that Suicide was not going to be on this, and now it's not. So I agree with you that I wish that track was included, so it was all encompassing, but it's not. There's talk about I need a whole other week and podcast for this topic, but yes, I agree. They should be. I am next most excited to read about the Nashville time, only because we got a little teaser from our friends Adrian Sinclair and Alan Cozen at the fest, and they said that the research and the notes and the anecdotes that they discovered about the Nashville trip that Wings took in the summer of 74 was incredible. So the Nashville stuff, I can't wait to read about in volume 2, because Adrian told us it's going to be awesome. Indeed. Oratorio, no. See, the classical stuff, I don't lock into that. The classical stuff is different. Chopa, Run Devil Run, things like that, I would keep those different. The Who, hands down. Not a big Rush fan. I like a couple songs, but I'm not a big fan of Rush, despite the prog rock that I do enjoy. But that's the Who. That's band number 3 for me anyway. It's Beatles and solo, yes, and the Who. But that's it for me. Those are my top 3. Do you ever think we're going to get a documentary of the lead up to Paul's appearance in Glastonbury? Maybe if Glastonbury properly comes out as a release, you'll get a bonus documentary thing about that. Hopefully there should be. I would think that there should be a documentary, because it was such a celebrated concert of Paul playing there. Why isn't I'm the Greatest on the John box? I don't know. I'm hoping that it comes out on the Blu-rays, where the little Easter eggs will be on, they said. Hopefully there'll be more on there as well. I'll leave that to you two to sort out there, Tone. We had underdubbed and then one hand clapping. I don't know anything, Nick. I'm just a fan. I don't know anything. But yeah, underdubbed came out in February. One hand clapping comes out in a month. A little less than a month now. 3.5 weeks. I did. Yeah. I think I scrolled back. I think I missed it. I think Susan said she went and ordered the Uber set too, as well. She ordered the Uber Mind Game set. There you go. Well, Susan's hardcore. I'm not surprised that she did that. Good on you, Susan. I'm the Greatest is not in the John box because it comes from the Ringo album sessions, not the Mind Game sessions. Fair enough. No, Jack, I am not a fan of Linkin Park. Scott got a tweet from Sean on I Am the Greatest issue when he tweeted about it and told me to have faith. Okay. I don't see what the hubbub of you got I Am the Greatest on the EP. So if you were lucky enough to get the EP, it's on the EP. Rip it and make it digital. Yep. Laura's interested to see the key. Yes, there is a Keith Moon biopic that Daltrey is a part of. Occasionally, Joe goes live every day of the week, so I here and there, not a lot, but if I have 5 minutes maybe, and he's talking about something interesting, I'll pop on. Maybe live, but not a lot. I don't have the time, to be honest with you. Ollie with the questions. Soundtrack albums considered straight studio albums. 2/3 of Broad Street. Yes, they're studio albums. Enough. Gerardo. Oh, I gotta go back. Yeah, Through Our Love, last track on Pipes of Peace. Epic closer. Orchestrated by George Martin. Well, he produced the whole thing anyway, but that song and that album gets thrown under the bus quite a lot. I've always enjoyed it. Beatly Tone, he's asking what he thinks the next release is. Tone, do you know if the Easter egg tracks included in the deluxe box or just the super deluxe? I think just the super deluxe. I think they're going to be just in the super deluxe because they would be on the Blu-ray discs, which would only be on those, I think. My favorite track of all time is You Are Here, Take 5 from the EP. I enjoyed it. It was long. It was like 11 minutes or something like that, right? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I do love the new, I love the Evolution documentary that we got of I like how the Lennon Camp does that. They show you the song from its demo form, its rough stages, a couple of takes, and then they tack on how it finishes. They've done that with Imagine and Plastic Ono Band, and it's gonna shine with Mind Games on this. Here and there, I don't have a lot of time, people. I have enough time just to do Two Legs and an occasional video on my own channel. I did pop on Mazzy's channel last week. He went live, and I went on there and promoted our show a little bit, and that was nice because we've had Mazzy on our show once or twice. We had him on back when the half-speed issue of Wildlife came out because Mazzy is a big fan of wildlife. So we had him on back in, I want to say January or February of 2022 to talk about that because that series keeps going on as well. Not listed on the, no, it's not. Now, I think Rock and Roll People's a song I'm not crazy about, but I think it should be included in this set because it was during those sessions, and maybe it'll be one of those Easter egg tracks because it was there. A lot of the extra tracks that people are clamoring about that's not on here, I understand. Choni, do you want unknown actors for these 4 Beatle movies? I don't care. As long as they do the job right. I don't care if it's the guy walking down the street. If the director thinks he can do the job, I don't care who it is. I just want them done well. Harry from Harry's Music Room. I don't know what that is, Jack. The only Harry that I like is Harry Chapin, although I respect Harry Styles and his phenomenon too. He's a good singer, just not into that music. I'm just not. Are you guys part of the vinyl community? I'd like to think we are. We're not hardcore like the rest of those people are. I mean, I'd like to think we are. I think we're more of the Beatles community and a subset of that. I mean, although my tastes are very, very varied, but they stay within that rock realm, 60s, 70s, 80s, but I like lots of different stuff. I like doo-wop, I like, oldies, sunshine pop. Fran asks, what's an Easter? So it's like a bonus track. Somebody wants to address that very important person in the chat and let them know what an Easter egg track is. It's a bonus, a bonus that you know that it's coming. They do it in movies too. All right, Rory. Have a good night, mate. Down under. Thank you. Do I think that Scouse the Mouse featuring Ringo should get a record store day release? I do. I do. I am. Hey, there he is. Somebody just asked if I watched you all the time. I said when I can, not all the time. I'm not retired like a certain someone is who can go live a lot. What got me into Dylan? I was a casual Dylan fan, and a very good friend of mine, who's also his name is also Bob, is a Bob Dylan savant. I think he's seen Bob Dylan 60 times in concert, and he 6 years ago kind of put the bug in my ear, and I went down a rabbit hole and haven't really crawled out since. So my friend Bob got me into Bob Dylan, like big time. Egypt Station. Favorite song? Dominoes is certainly up there. I would say, yeah, Dominoes, or I Don't Know, because I loved I Don't Know when that first dropped. Happy with You, I think it's a great song. People, I like People Want Peace. Tom doesn't really like that song as much. I like it, but I think overall, I think Gerardo, you can't go wrong with Dominoes. I think that's one of the best songs Paul's written in the last 20 years. For sure. I love Dominoes. Andy and Tim. Well, I've talked to Tim. I've talked to Tim before. Hand in Hand. Yes, 21st Century Output. I mean, Tempest, Roll On John, Rough and Rowdy Ways from 2020. Victor, I addressed this earlier. If you missed it, I started watching it. Tony says, Joe, I'm excited. Yeah, Joe will be there. I do not like Despite Repeated Warnings. I did initially, but that song has not aged well for me. Because it's political in nature, and Paul doesn't do politics well with his songs usually. Big boys bickering, give Ireland back to the Irish. It's like he's putting his foot in the water a little bit, but I'm not a big fan of that. Nobody's been able to get. I never thought it was going to happen, and then one day, boom! Just the light bulb went off. You never know. I never thought I could either. Yeah. Susan said she's seen Dylan once. I didn't recognize half the songs. They were almost. That's Bob for you. That's Bob. Oh, I missed a comment. I got to go back and see it. I think something about Joe going to the fest. Yeah, Joe May will be at the fest. I'll be at the fest. I'll be at the fest. So in Chicago, looking forward to it. That's an easy one. That's an easy one, Jack. Actually, it's a 20-minute song, and it's called Murder Most Foul, and it came out on the eve, basically when the pandemic was right about to explode. He dropped Murder Most Foul on what was then known as Twitter. It's now called X. I'll never forget it. I woke up. We knew this shutdown was coming, and he dropped Murder Most Foul, this 20-minute just kind of poem about Kennedy and pop culture too. The Beatles are in there. It's not just about. I mean, it's the whole song is centered around Kennedy, with all of the big pop culture events of the 60s and 70s rolled into that 20-minute song. Brilliant. Who does that? I remember seeing his tweet that said, we did this a few months ago. Stay safe, everyone. Bob. And he just dropped it, a 20-minute song, because the album then came out 4 months later. So Rough and Rowdy Ways. But yeah, Dylan's recent stuff from 97 on has been on point. Nick says the New York Fest wore him out. He's giving, that was a rat race because it was in the TWA hotel. And I can understand why. I remember, Nick, we actually chatted about that. You said you were heading back to your room because it was. Chicago, I think you would enjoy because it's much more slower speed. Despite Repeated Warnings. I don't agree, James. I think Big Boys Bickering is a better successful political song than Despite Repeated Warnings. Hell, I think even Give Ireland Back to the Irish is better than that. In my opinion. It's an area that he's not comfortable doing. It's you can just tell. You can tell he doesn't like pushing the envelope. And if I can remember, Give Ireland Back to the Irish was slated to be on Wingspan when it came out in 2001, and then he got cold feet and pulled it out at the last minute. See? So that tells you all you need to know about Paul with his, writing, politically. He doesn't want to offend anybody. And I get that. Let's see, who else? Let's see. I don't like much of Love and Hate. I don't know what that means. Jax, Nick's, I say probably. I do like Voter of Love. Oh, Susan does like Despite Repeating Warnings. Okay. All right. I like the whole medley that it's linked with, to close the album out. It just, the lyrics are a little bit, nah. Yeah, both. But not everything. Like, I'm not buying every Ringo album on vinyl. That's reserved for John and Paul only, and mainly George. But like, I didn't go for the record store day Zoetrope things from Harrison. Like, I'll buy Harrison on vinyl and CD, but I'm not going to go get these exotic things like the Zoetrope pressings. Although we're getting them in Mind Games, but that's different. But John and Paul and the Beatles, yeah, that's a home run for sure. Ringo. I'm going to get Crooked Boy though. My record is, my opinion on that new EP is out there, and I was luckily enough, the nice folks at Talk More Talk asked me to co-host one of the episodes, so about a month ago when that came out, and spoke very highly of it. One aspect of Despite Repeated Warnings I appreciate is that his politics is cloaked in metaphor, so that even if you don't agree with the sentiment, you might like the tune. Chris, that's a very good comment. I like the tune. I don't like where, because I don't like the message. I do like the tune of it. Yeah. Susan likes Egypt Station in general. I remember being so excited about that album when it came out in 2018. I listened to it a month or two ago. I got the Explorers Edition vinyl. The bonus tracks on it were, I think, better than some of the tracks on the album, like Frank Sinatra's Party and things like that. I think those were great. Those would have been great on the album. But I think I like McCartney 3 more than it. I do now. I didn't in 2020, because McCartney 3 has been, tone grew. Yeah, but he finds it a very average album. The great stuff on Egypt Station, I think, is great. The other stuff is kind of middle of the road. But I don't know. I think it's one of his best songs. Brendan, I'm not done watching it yet. I have to go back to it. Oh, I forgot about this one. Long Leather Coat. How could I forget? That's the best one. He's right. Forget Big Boys Bickering. Long Leather Coat is the best political one. Thank you, Music Sound Gear. That's the one from Off the Ground, the complete works. And it was a B-side as well. That's the best one. Hands down. Gerardo, I Lie Around. I love Lie. That's the B-side to Live and Let Die, of course. I love I Lie Around. Paul, Denny, and a little bit of Paul there. And I Lie Around, if you've read the McCartney Legacy, has a really, really far back history. It goes back to before Ram even. It goes back to like 1970. You just think it was a Wings throwaway. It was a song that Paul had kicking around for a long time. I remember reading that in the McCartney Legacy going, wow, I Lie Around was that old? Nick doesn't like Egypt Station. I know I don't. He loves I Don't Know and Do It Now, but he likes McCartney 3 way more. Yeah. Interesting. Some people feel the same way. Yeah. As well. Sags in parts. Yeah, I think it does. Confidant's a good track. Just saying hi to one of the fans there. Steve, yo, Andy, man, we need the physical media copy of Let It Be movie to be released real soon with a bunch of extras. I only want to subscribe to Disney Plus for 2 months. Well, you're going to have to wait a while there, Steve, because I don't think it's coming out on physical media anytime soon. So you're going to have to just live off of Disney Plus or use that thing called the internet to find it. A good point there, James. McCartney 3 has brevity, which it helped with. It does. Right. It's a quick album. What is there, 10 or 11 tracks? It's quick. Egypt Station's a long album, 17, 18 tracks. You know, a little bit similar to Driving Rain in a way. By the way, I really enjoy these. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on and giving me some good comments and suggestions to keep the conversation going. Thank you, man. Tone, I've been asked by a subscriber to do a video on Mac's best B-sides, which I think he means non-album B-sides. Top of your head, Andy, you're 5. I won't hold you to them. So top 5. Please with that for you. I can't with that song. I can't. Let me go back to this here. Top 5 non-album B-sides. Okay, yeah. I'll give you a ring. Girls' School. Daytime, Nighttime Suffering. I Lie Around. And Flying to My Home. There's 5 off the top of my head. Right there, for sure. Maybe even for we'll put in Ode to a Koala Bear for special runner-up. Those would be mine. Those would be my 5. What would be your 5, Tone? The Mess. I just said Koala Bear. I just said it. I said honorable mention. Ode to a Koala Bear. The Mess. How could I forget The Mess? Damn. You know what? Swap out I Lie Around for The Mess. There's my 5. Okay, you got to have The Mess in there. Yeah, you got to have. Yeah. I'll withdraw I Lie Around, and I'll put The Mess in there. Yes. Yeah, there's some kind of Australian mix of Ode to a Koala Bear, which is a little bit longer. Damn. See, this is this is tough. Oh, Woman, Oh Why? Yeah. See, I could pick that. Sally G. Yeah. Rain Clouds, which of course has historical significance because that's the song that Paul was working on the day that he found out that John was gone. So I can understand why people would include that because it's a very melancholy tune. Flying to My Home. Yeah, this could be a whole album of Tough on a Tightrope, as Nick says. Although it was included on the CD version of Press to Play. It was. But I think it could be a B-side, yeah. I think it could. Mama's Little Girl. Oh, my God. My favorite single of all time. Once Upon a Long Ago and Back on My Feet. Yeah, see, that's a loaded question. I need like 20 B-side tracks because I'd have all of these on there. But as Tone said, I'm not going to hold you to it because I'm seeing all these great song choices come in here. And I'm like, oh, I'd pick that one. Tomorrow, I definitely would have I'll Give You a Ring. I'll Give You a Ring was one of the first B-sides that I did not know when I put on the 45 back in the day, not knowing a note of it saying, oh, I love that. No to that, Joe. Gone. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae. As Archie would do. Tone says, Oh Woman, Oh Why, Back on My Feet, Soily, The Mess, and Sally G. Yeah, great choices. Extended Tough on a Tightrope. Agree with Steve. Really, Joe likes Check My Machine. Did not expect that. Yeah. Check My Machine. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. A couple of other ones that popped in here. FT Superstar said Sea Moon. Summer of 59. I Want You to Fly. Better than what, Tone? And don't say Waterfalls, because I know that Joe doesn't like it anyway. But this isn't Joe's show. Yes, Matthew. I know Joe doesn't like Waterfalls. I do. Daytime, Nighttime Suffering. I said that would be one of my choices for sure. Gotta be on there. Secret Friend, all 10 minutes and 30 seconds of it. Sure, why not? Summer of 59, which I still think is only available on vinyl too. Or maybe it's on CD. It might be on that Jenny Wren 3 CD, that 3 song single. I forget. Oh, he does like Waterfalls. Okay. There's a deep one there from Brendan. Kicked Around No More from the Off the Ground sessions. Good ballad. Good ballad as well. Lunchbox and Odd Socks from, well, that came out in 1980, but of course it was done with Wings. So he's saying that he likes it better than Frozen Jap, Front Parlor, Summer's Day Song, and Bozy Mute. No, really? Front Parlor is one of my favorite songs on that whole album, believe it or not. I'll tell you who likes McCartney too is our friend Ethan Alexanian from Fans on the Run. That's his favorite McCartney album. Yeah, Same Love. This list could be endless. It could absolutely be endless. It really could. Yeah, which didn't really come out until 97, even though it goes back to 87. That could also be on there. Country Dreamer, I think Gerardo said. Joe likes McCartney too, which I'm sure Joe bought McCartney too when it came out brand new in the spring of 1980. Worst, here's one. Let's go worst B-side. Album or non-album? What's the worst B-side? I would say Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reggae. That would be my worst B-side. You know, I've never really enjoyed My Carnival too much. Yeah, that's Off the Ground, the complete works, which you could only get as an import from like Germany for a long time. For a long time. What was McCartney's last actual B-side? Matt, that's a great question. Yeah, it's got to be Rudolph, right? What's McCartney's last actual B-side? I'm sure somebody could tell us what that is. I mean, if we're talking straight single releases, I mean, where are we going back to? I mean, Susan says Sea Moon. Yeah. And why he loves playing that one still is sound check and warm-ups. You know, he just doesn't let that one go. Not technically a B-side, but Twice in a Lifetime is awful. I like Twice in a Lifetime. Probably right, Joe. I think it's probably Chaos. I think it probably goes back to Chaos. Or no, wait a minute. Would it have been the flip side of Ever Present Past from Memory Almost Full? Because you had that weird kind of square 45. It might have been whatever, I think, Nod Your Head. Maybe Nod Your Head from 2007. Nick doesn't like Angry. He thinks it was a B-side as well as on Press to Play. Party Party from Flowers. Yeah, I think it might have been Memory Almost Full. Just another version of Women and Wives. It was Women and Wives, instrumental, and then the proper song. So I don't think that counts, Ollie. He's asking what the proper last beat, and I think it was, yeah. Yeah, that's up there too. Which, here's, I'm going to, no Googling. Well, you know this, so I'm telling you anyway. Soggy Noodle is actually the little noodling you hear before Off the Ground, the music video. That's actually Soggy Noodle. I never knew that until I saw the video and actually had the track. That little kind of noodling you hear and then going into the video proper Off the Ground, that's Soggy Noodle. Oh, Steve, I disagree with that. That's one of the best beats. That's one of the best singles Paul's ever done. That Record Store Day release of In a Hurry and Home Tonight. And In a Hurry is probably easily, and I think I ranked it on one of our shows, it's probably one of my top 5 songs that he's done in the last 20 years. That is, In a Hurry is one of the best songs he's done. I like that better than anything on Egypt Station or McCartney 3. How about that? Unless Steve's talking about, I think Steve means what was the last B-side. But yeah, that's what Tone's saying here. There was a double A. Yeah, I know. I know what you were saying, Steve. You were talking about the last B-side, but Tone is clarifying here. I was a double A. There was no A or B side on that, right? Okay, I thought so. We had our conversations cross going there for a little bit. Russian album. The Russian album leftovers from this one are, yeah, a little bit. I would agree with that too. I would agree with that as well. Jenny Wren. Music sound, he said, I think Paul likes to play Sea Moon because it's a Linda thing and she got him interested in reggae. Yeah. Andrea says, have you considered reviewing, discussing Wild Prairie? Wide Prairie. We have not. Tom owns it. I have a copy of it, but it's nothing that has ever really brought my interest into discussing it. But possibly because Paul ended up, supervising its release and releasing it after Linda's passing, could be a discussion. Don't really fancy listening to a whole album worth of Linda tracks, though. All due respect to her. Backing vocals, yes. Her harmonizing and her voice and her blend for what Wings was incredible. As a lead vocalist, that's something that I wouldn't really want to listen to too much. But I love the respect and care that Paul gave to it to see that his wife's late album got released. I think that's honorable. This one, Lovejoy mix. Nah, not really. Not really. Yeah, but we might. Wide Prairie is great. All right, I'll give it another listen. What's that one track from that album? It's pretty good. I actually like it. Love's Full Glory is on that. That's a great track. I enjoy that. That Love's Full Glory that's the one. I think that Paul helped out quite a bit with that. That's a good track. Joe likes it too. Okay, interesting. I'll have to give it a re-listen to it. I only gave it a quick cursory listen. I'll go back into it. But I do know it came out in '99, I believe, as well. So, Scott, if Paul's doing Sea Moon, why doesn't he do the Little Women Love medley? Huh? I don't know. He did it in '75 when Wings were before they went big. Susan's never liked it either. Okay, what's better, the studio or really? P.S. Love Me Do. That might be the worst one, actually. What's better? If I have to choose, live. Chris, happy Memorial Day to you too. Stay safe. Thank you. Joe says, Wide Prairie, Driving Rain. Yeah. 1882 was not a B-side because it only just officially came out for the first time in 2018 as part of the expanded Red Rose Speedway box set. Was not a B-side, and it was only played live before that. Tone thinks the last official B-side, non-album, if you don't want to count it, is the Summer of '59. But all right, so it wasn't that Memory Almost Full one. I thought it might have been. I thought it might have been the Ever Present Past single, but maybe there wasn't a song on that. Maybe it might have just been etching. It might have been etching on the other side of that. Maybe that's why. Jack is back from dinner. All right. Do I like Rushes? I like it for experimental stuff, but I wouldn't give it more than a listen. That's why I take the Fireman. I take Electric Arguments, and I make that more of a canon album. I mean, I have it, but on CD, but I wouldn't. It's not anything I listen to. Dan, what do I think of Sean and James's new music? Should they? I've said this before on the show. I'm not into the kids' music. If you like it, that's fine. But I comparing the Beatles children and trying to analyze just because it's the Beatles kids, it's just something I can't really get into. Julian is about the most I could do because it had his early work and his later work had touches of Beatle-like quality. Too Late for Goodbye, Saltwater, Veloute. It sounded like it could have been a Beatles song. That's about all I can do in terms of the kids' music. I have no interest in the kids' music. I don't. Album track. Okay, so then you're right. Tone was right. It was Summer of '59. So we're talking back to 2005, almost 20 years ago. I got to go back here. Nick he finally got a hold of the Electric Arguments metal box set, which I've been waiting for ages. Not sure when I'm telling you, but I love it. Good for you. That's a score. The metal box, that's a rare find. As is the regular vinyl these days. I'm glad I got it back in 2008. I like Standing Stone. Didn't Dance Then I have a vinyl release in the UK, so it must have a B-side. Do you know what I had? No, I don't know what you had. What's your favorite song from the Ubu Juba mixes from the Flaming Pie singles? I liked getting Love Mix included in that Ubu Jubu drop on one of the bonus Flaming Pie singles, especially hearing Beautiful Night, the original version of Beautiful Night for the first time. That was, hearing that for the first time back in the day was pretty awesome to release and hear it. Now, of course, we've got it all. Why do experimental works usually yield failed experiments? Well, it's all up to the eye of the beholder. It's what you like. Some people like that stuff. Flying to my home is great for me. How much do you like? I like flying to my home. I don't love it as much as my co-host. My co-host thinks flying to my home is the best thing since sliced bread. I think it's a good track. Paul's kind of whiny, nasally vocal just doesn't do it for me. I like the tune once it starts going, but his voice is just weird on that track for me. Susan got it from Paul's site when it came out. B-side of Dance Night was Niger Headed. Yeah, that's why Tone clarified that. Yeah. Rank them. Matt asked, any love for the Country Hams 45? You mean Walking in the Park with Eloise? I like it. It's Paul produced it for his dad. So yeah, I enjoy it. Don't listen to it a whole lot. I don't believe it was. I believe that was just a CD only release, and which I still have, bought it back in the day. Don't think that was ever on vinyl. With that, if you remember, we heard that little Free Now bit that Paul took all that stuff from Beatles sessions and took it and made loops and experimental stuff with it. It was interesting. I believe he worked with Youth on that as well from his fireman work. Sliced bread, isn't that a hot dog sandwich? No, sliced bread is sliced bread. On for an hour already. Wow, 8:30. Probably going to start wrapping up soon, folks. That goes by quick. Unless anybody else had any other questions, but that's pretty, got to go to bed. Got to interview our man Luca tomorrow on his book, Band on the Run. So that'll be episode 248, unless anybody has any thrilling conversation and topics to keep it going, but I'll probably sign off soon. Yeah, the Super Furry Animals were on it. That wasn't the worst ever. No way. No way. Sabbath or Ozzy? Ozzy. Not a huge fan, but I'll choose Ozzy. Yeah. So. All right, gang. I'm going to sign off. It's been an hour. Nice little live chat here Memorial Day weekend. I hope you're enjoying it. And we'll see you. We might even be live again before the end of the weekend. Maybe me and Tom as well. Maybe on Monday. We'll see. But that'll do it for me. Stay safe. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you, veterans. And have a good night. See ya. Bye.